Hello, my name is Beth Demick, and here with me is Dalitsch, who is playing multiple roles in Valley Performing Arts' production of Radium Girls, primarily C.B. Lee, Vice President of the U.S. Radium Corporation. He also has an interesting historical connection to some of the real-life events that inspired the show. Thank you for joining me in this interview, Walt.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your acting experience.
Well, my grandfather was a physician and dentist and a career U.S. Navy officer, and I was inspired by his accomplishments to choose a similar path in life. So after medical school, I actually worked at the Delta Hospital out in Bethel, and one day flew back to Anchorage and pulled my pickup truck out of my buddy's yard and short road trip down to Pensacola, Florida, and started what I thought would be 4 years in the Navy and ended up doing 30. And a career in the Navy is not conducive to an acting career, but I managed to squeeze in a couple of plays here and there and a couple of musical groups, and actually had one cameo as a trombonist in the musical Chicago at one point.
Now that you're settled down from the Navy, why did you choose this production?
Well, Radium Girls is a tragic and true public health story set in the 1920s in New Jersey. And at about the same time, a similar story was playing out in Illinois, and my grandfather was involved. He was one of the first to diagnose the radium poisoning in these dial painters. And as a matter of fact, he even appeared as an expert witness in the court proceedings that happened thereafter. So there's even a play about the Illinois version called These Shining Lives, and there's even a character named Dr. Dalitsch, my grandfather. And I just think, wouldn't it be something if someday I actually landed the role of my grandfather?
That would indeed be a rare opportunity. How have you enjoyed your roles in this production so far?
Oh, immensely. I once, years ago, did The Man Who Came to Dinner, and I had to play 3 roles in that, but having to play 5 parts is an even greater challenge. But perhaps the biggest challenge is playing the role of company vice president, C.B. Lee, who is arguably one of the worst bad guys in this play. Growing up and hearing my grandfather's stories and his empathy and his care for his patients, obviously centered on this kind of thing, the Radium Girls, and then for over 3 decades myself as a physician and trying to empathize and provide that care and serve my own patients. It's a unique challenge to try and channel somebody without that kind of care and empathy.
What can we learn from the production of Radium Girls?
Well, one of my greatest hopes is that we would have learned from this real story a long time ago. In my medical career, I served primarily in public health, and public health is a unique niche that takes care of an entire population, not just individual patients. And unfortunately, we've seen the same stories playing out over and over again, just different substances, different names, different companies. And the problem is, the biggest barrier is when it comes to greed. And wealthy companies will put their own profits in front of proven science, ignoring, altering, twisting, or even suppressing data that has been produced by very smart scientists. And ultimately, this harms the public. This harms our human population. And a recent example is DuPont's manufacture of Teflon and spilling a lot of what we now call forever chemicals into the environment, which has caused infertility, birth defects, cancer, and other diseases. And Radium Girls is a play about an earlier version of the exact same story, just a different time. And it always plays out that some substance that is thought as pure magic and then makes its inventors and producers wealthy, and then it turns out that it's harmful, and unfortunately that's ignored, and it's so sad.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, I'd like to say how incredibly welcoming Valley Performing Arts has been for a newbie here in this production company. And I'm surrounded by such immense talent, including our incredibly accomplished director, Wendy Galter, that it has pushed me further to do the best that I can do for this production. And I just hope that people come out to see it and it gives them a moment to ponder some of the ethical dilemmas and personal decisions that are portrayed in this real life story.
Thank you so much for joining me, Will.
Well, thanks for having me. My pleasure.